There was no plan this morning to do a video, but we were seeing so much conflicting information that we wanted to try to get something out there for those of you who are looking at step 3 as a way to see your loved ones after so long separated and weren't quite sure whether you were able to or not. And to be honest, we still aren't quite sure either. First of all, my name is Arran Hunt. I am a partner here at the law firm Stacey Hammond, where I head up the immigration team. As always, this is not legal advice. This is just our commentary on immigration here in New Zealand. If you're looking for legal advice, please get in contact with us via our website or at the email address down below. Now let's start with what the Prime Minister announced in her speech last week in relation to Step 3 and for those visa holders who are offshore.
Now for the third step, which begins from 11:59 p.m. Tuesday, 12 April. Here we further extend our border extension to include a large international student cohort of up to 5,000 students for entry ahead of semester 2. Here, temporary visa holders who still meet relevant visa requirements will also be able to enter.
Okay, now let's have a look at what was published on the INZ website about the same time as the Prime Minister's speech. We will provide a link to this in the description down below so you can see it yourself. But it says that in regards to Step 3, temporary visa holders currently outside New Zealand and who have a valid visa can enter New Zealand as long as they still meet their visa requirements. We'll also just quickly note what is listed in Step 4, and you'll see as to why we do this when we get to, later in this video. Step 4, from July, our borders will open to Australian citizens, Australian permanent residents and other foreign nationals travelling from Australia, visitors from visa waiver countries and AEW accredited employer work visa, still the worst name visa ever, holders. Now, interpretation of Step 3 here was that people who held a valid temporary entry visa could enter New Zealand from April 13 as long as they met the terms of their visa. You'll notice here there's no mention of as to the visa type, whether it's all temporary entry visas, as that's how it's sort of worded, or whether it's just for work visas or student visas or visitor visas. There is no clarity there. Our interpretation was that it was temporary entry visas because that's what it states. So we did a video about this on Friday. However, as we deal with a lot of releases from the government as to immigration, we did make it clear in that video that it was really going to come down to the final rules, as we didn't know what the minister may try to slide in there when those rules were released. And we were right. Kinda, maybe. On the weekend, we received an email from a very good source with something from Inside Immigration New Zealand about who could actually enter under Step 3. Now, it stated in relation to Step 3 the following, that Step 3 was for current offshore temporary visa holders who still meet visa requirements. Now, further in that document, there was more clarification around who Step 3 would cover. And the question was asked, does this mean migrants currently in New Zealand can travel and come back? And the answer was the majority of onshore temporary visa holders won't immediately be able to leave and re-enter New Zealand without a border exception until Steps 4 or 5 are in place. Once the AEWV work visa replaces the current worker border exception in July, Step 4, some temporary visa holders may be able to leave and re-enter New Zealand, while other visa holders such as students may need to wait until Step 5 when the border fully reopens, and that's October. So now it looks like Step 3 was being limited to just those who are already offshore, not those who are onshore looking to go offshore. Those of you who had seen this as a way after the Prime Minister's speech to see your loved ones after years of separation were having their hopes dashed. We put the word out online that we had been hearing this sort of contradictory information and people would need to be cautious till we actually had the final rules and that we would be getting confirmation from Immigration New Zealand as to what those rules were. So I wrote to an INZ manager and I asked in my email, we note the PM's announcement for the steps, most notably Step 3, allowing entry to New Zealand for visa holders who are within their visa rights. We are now hearing this is being limited to just those who are currently offshore, and anyone who leaves New Zealand now will be unable to enter on Step 3, even if they hold a valid visa. Is that correct? Now, at 10:30 a.m. yesterday, Tuesday morning, we got a response. From the limited information I have, this appears correct. Onshore temporary migrants will be able to leave New Zealand and re-enter once relevant visa pathways are reopened, example July for workers, October for students. So this seemed to be in line with what we had seen from the weekend's leak. That those of you who are onshore couldn't leave the country to see your loved ones and then re-enter under step 3, despite you meeting the requirements as stated on the immigration website and as stated by the Prime Minister. However, we received an email from an excellent source, not sure if I can mention her name, I will ask her for future videos, who showed me an email from another Immigration New Zealand manager, and in that person's email it stated, temporary work visa holders and student work visa holders who are onshore will be able to leave and return to New Zealand as part of the Reconnecting NZ strategy under Step 3, i.e. 11:59 p.m. Tuesday 12 April. This aligns those onshore visa holders with temporary work visa and student visa holders who are currently offshore and who still hold a valid visa and can meet the requirements of the visa, thus allowing them to enter at Step 3. Valid visitor visa holders and short-term visitors from visa waiver countries will be able to travel to New Zealand at Step 4, i.e. from July. So this was sent by an INZ manager yesterday afternoon at 2 p.m. It confirms that those onshore can leave and re-enter. It also limits that to work visa holders and student visa holders, then mentioning that visitor visa holders who may still have a valid visitor visa can re-enter in Step 4, even though, as we saw from earlier on the immigration website, that isn't actually mentioned anywhere else other than in this email. So in the space of 4 hours, there appears to have been a complete change in the handling of Step 3, or perhaps, as my contact in immigration said, they had limited information and they hadn't been given the full picture. Now, we spoke with a reporter yesterday morning and we know other reporters were asking about this, so our suspicion is that someone in government didn't want to be embarrassed by a speech by the Prime Minister that talked about reuniting families and then once again did nothing to actually reunite those families. We suspect that this was very much a quick change by the government once the media got involved, but we'll probably never actually know. However, we still have no concrete answer. This one has flipped around way too much in the past few days, so we're waiting for something to be published by the government or INZ just to clarify this situation. We would hope that it does come quickly to allow people like yourselves who want to go and see your loved ones know whether that is an option and later start booking tickets. But until something officially is released, we'd caution anyone from making sort of concrete plans that they cannot refund because we don't know which way they're going to go with this, having moved around so much already. But that is it for today's quick video. We want to just quickly get that out there to give you a heads up of what's going on in the background and what is causing us so much frustration right now. We'll be back in the next couple of days, hopefully with more details about the Phase 2 RV21 rollout and some other current visa news. Until then, kia kaha and stay safe.